Hello, I'm Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I got a message from Abresh, and she said that she's looking to possibly, go full-time, just making videos and live streaming, and, actually make a career, a job out of that. And she wanted to know exactly what point do you actually try and bring something like that together as a business? At what point does that become a business? Well, so at least in the United States, as I understand some of the laws, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a tax accountant, I'm not any of that. It's just my dealings with business so far and what I've learned. And I have to say that you don't have to create the whole business before you create the process. And there is a kind of a category that is seen as a hobbyist. And a hobbyist can earn some money without having to pay taxes on it and without having to report it. Now, I don't know what the exact amount is. And so you might want to check with an accountant or a CPA about what the exact amount of money is. But I think it's pretty high. And I think you're okay at pulling in like 10 grand. And so my advice is to, on any new business, is that you actually make something work before you go out and do things like, form a company and get any lawyers involved and register with the state and register with your city and stuff like that. There are some cases where you need to do all that before you start doing business. But in our case, in the case of being a YouTube channel, being a streamer or whatever, that the likelihood of you making really big bucks is not really good odds. And I'm not saying that so that you don't try. I'm saying that just because that's the truth. There's a lot of people who have the will and the determination and the know-how to make something really successful, but there's another part to that too, which is you've got to be entertaining and educational or give people some reason to watch. I have seen, there's this one guy that I know that is very popular, and I won't say what realm of popularity he's in, but he's in media culture. And he's had great popularity in this one area. But, in the gameplay stuff he does, he's very dry. And, he's able to pull a lot of people in because of who he is. But as far as his entertainment and educational value, it's maybe not the right realm. And I see him trying, though, and his numbers are steadily increasing. And don't get me wrong, everybody will have fans. Every single person has fans. And, but it's how many fans can you acquire while you're doing whatever you do. And so, he's giving it a go, and more power to him. I think he has a goal of a year or two to make something happen. And, maybe he can do it. Maybe he can do it. But then there's the other people out there that just get these channels that are just wildly successful and everything. And what is the magic formula of that? You look at their channels and you say, they've got all this other stuff here, but a lot of that's because of their success that they're able to do a lot of that other stuff. And I think that like at least 50% of the process is you as the talent. And so anyway, what I'm just saying is that don't assume that you're going to be successful. Don't waste money on lawyers, on getting a business name, on trademarking anything or whatnot. Go out there, make it work, and, figure out what the what the point is on tax-wise of earnings that you have to hit in order for the IRS to want you to file. And maybe that is the cutoff point. And so if it's like $1,000 a month, you know, say, let's just say the number's $12,000, then wait until you've been making $1,000 a month or more for 3 months before you spend the money on this stuff. Make the project pay for itself. Make the business pay for itself. Don't do anything that's unnecessary because it's just going to waste your money. And so that's kind of my advice on that. Now, when you do get to that point, what should you do? Well, there's a couple of things. So you can, most people I would, and again, I am not a person who's trained to give this kind of advice or anything. So seek out, you know, a lawyer, seek out a CPA. CPAs can actually help with this really well, or whatever tax advisor. And because this is not just for the United States, I think this applies to many countries. And excuse me. And so, you know, what do you want to set up? Well, in the United States, what you would set up most likely is an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Corporation. And that will make it an entity on its own. And so that the if something were to happen in the business, like let's say that here's a good example. Let's say that if you were, and maybe this isn't a good example, something happens on the show and you get sued for it. And it wasn't something that you did intentionally. It wasn't something that was premeditated thought on your part, because see, you are the other person that you're trying to protect your company from. This is sticky. And so the suit would then be against the company in most cases, as long as you were not the one that perpetrated it or that made it happen. And a better example of that, and it may not apply so much to YouTubers and streamers because you are the main person on the show, but let's just say that you hired somebody. And you hired somebody to help develop content for you, and to also stream on your channel, also to make YouTube videos for you, because you're being really successful. And let's say that they exposed some exploit for a game, and the game company was really pissed and wanted to sue you for it. Well, they would sue the LLC, they would sue the company, and they might sue the person who did it. But you want to insulate yourself so that if you get sued and they win, that they don't take your house, they don't take your car, they don't take your other assets. And so that's why you make an LLC. It's Limited Liability Corporation. And so it has this separation. The biggest example of that is people who own property. People who own property typically will make an LLC for each piece of property they own. And the reason they do that for each one is because, let's say that you're renting out a house, and you ever watch the show Shameless? Oh my God, that show is so horrible. And, you know, so somebody, you know, loosens a stair and then acts like they fall through and break their leg, like they did on the show. And so, you know, they're looking for a big insurance payment and everything, and it's a lot of money and stuff. I mean, of course you would have insurance, but, you know, maybe the you know, whatever they're suing for could be a really big amount, more than the value of the house and more than your insurance policy. And so you would make each home an LLC. And that way, if, you know, you lost that one home in a lawsuit and everything, because they were, you know, awarded more money than the value of all of that together, they can't take your other homes or your personal home. And so it gives you some protection. There's some rules around that too, about you know, piercing the corporate veil. And what that means is that you don't commingle your money. your accounting on your company is separate from your personal accounting, and that you really like pay yourself a paycheck each month, and that there's money left over in the company all the time, and you don't just, you're not spending the company money as personal, and you with personal funds paying for bills for the company, because then you show that it's an interdependency together, and really that it's not a separate entity. So anyway, you don't need all that legal stuff until you actually are successful. And I would measure success as whatever in your country that the law allows for you to make money as a hobby. And this would be how I would term it, is how much money can I make on a hobby before I have to start to claim it, and before I should think about turning it into a business. It might be two different answers there. They say maybe you have to claim it, if it's over $100 a month, but you don't have to pay any taxes on it until it's over $1,000 a month, or something like that. And so it's up to you to decide. But really think of it as you're only making the money if you're successful, and don't waste your money, honestly. So I hope that helps. I hope that's kind of a step in the right direction. And an LLC is not hard to set up. You can set up one yourself. It takes a little bit of research. You have to get a taxpayer ID number from the IRS. You have to register with your city or county. You have to register with the state, and you register a name, and then you open a bank account, and you kind of have the whole package there. You probably should have a CPA whenever you get to that point, and a CPA will cost you a lot of money. Expect to pay $1,000 for a CPA for a year, and for the tax help. So you got to be making the money before you put all this together. Otherwise, you're just wasting it, because it may just be hobby money all along. But if you are successful, go for it all the way. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.